very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, quite a lot of conversation that we'll be even bringing forward your way this evening. But first, we will take you around the world of PDP, where we understand that the long-awaited caucus meeting have come to an end. We'll bring you perspective even on that issue. But don't forget that you can join the conversation also on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen using at Global TV Engine. You can also download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices in order to stay abreast and also stay informed with our programs. Well, let's take a look at PDP's extended NEC meeting, as it was called, a caucus meeting, I beg your pardon, as it was called, as it has come to an end amid tight security. Let's even listen to the PDP chairman at this point. That will take the conversation from there with my guest, who is already seated with me in the studio. Let's take a look.
Opportunity to welcome you to the 100th NEC meeting. And the NOS was introducing accredited members, and he mentioned 100 NEC. I saw some people clapping. I want to use this opportunity to express to you that there was a thought before now that this meeting will be an extended caucus, and you can see various adverts flying here and there. The beauty of our party is that we have always handled our problem our own ways. So after due consultations with our leaders, the governors, leaders of other organs, we say for the synopsis, even though we've slated this NEC and we had challenges, but this is our own NEC. And this NEC is going to deliberate on only one item, so that we don't run foul of the other regulators masculine of asking us to do this or that. It is in this NEC that we will discuss when to hold the second NEC going to convention in a most lawful and profound manner. We'll discuss that and we'll issue the date when we conclude this meeting. I also want to use this opportunity to remind us that as party faithful, we all have a responsibility to this party. The issue at hand, which created a lot of tension and division within us, has been discussed and we have taken a position. Unfortunately, the agreement to allow the National Secretary to step in, which has been actually prompted by our meeting with the INEC, which would be discussed. Okay, I will leave that. But all the same, I've already said it. It took a painful decision. It was a painful decision Okay. I just want to stop here because maybe when we finish our meeting, we'll brief the media appropriately. I think I will use this opportunity to welcome you again. Arbitrarily, the marketing of this party. I want the media to note, if you so much love this party, I think it is now time for you to devote your energy in propagating the beauty of this party and stop demarketing the party. Unless if you are one of those that have been contracted to come and destroy our party. I want to say it clearly here, enough is enough. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back. That is coming from the PDP chairman. Well, joining me tonight for the first conversation is Barrister Balogun Akintayo. And of course, we'll be talking about today's PDP NEC meeting so far. You're welcome to Big Talk, Barrister.
Thank you very much, and good evening. Good evening, viewers.
Well, Barrister, let's look at this whole issue around PDP. Crisis has been resolved, so it seems. But what can you even deduce from this whole drama that has played out even within the People's Democratic Party?
Okay, well, you said crisis has been resolved. Whatever would happen in the next few days, few weeks, and few months to come, we can actually say, yes, the issues have been resolved. Because many times we have heard things like this, issues have been resolved, matters have been, everybody and all that. And then the next thing you see is probably another person is in court and then going to seek for an injunction to stop something, seek for an injunction to render the meeting, whatever has been decided in the meeting, to render it null and void, or to render a nullity, and all that. So I wouldn't stand or sit here to say everything has been truly resolved indeed. Let's still give it time. It's time. Time is the true test for this kind of reconciliation. We have seen, at least in the last 2 years, we have seen in Nigerian politics where people come out, yes, issues have been resolved. And in the next 2-3 weeks, they are back to the battlefield. So for me, let's give it time. Time will test. Time is the test to know if truly issues have been resolved.
Well, Barrister, when we look at this whole scenario that have played out within the People's Democratic Party, or whether we have from the southeastern part of Nigeria, what they've come out to say, hey, this is the candidate that we prefer. But right now, the National Working Committee is saying, based on what INEC have told them, they would rather go with Anyanwu. Can we say at this point this is a win for the Southeast, or a total, how would you even assess the reactions from people from the Southeast at this point in time? Would they want to follow the party even as it adopts Dr. Anyanwu as its secretary?
Okay, on the issue of Senator Anyanwu as secretary, you see, for me, it's a win either way for them, because the important thing is the secretary must come from the Southeast. So either the person that they were pushing or Senator Anyanwu, for me, it's still the same Southeast candidate that is still sitting in the position. Yes, there are two different individuals, but then it's still somebody from your part of the country that is being given this the privilege to hold the office. So I would want to say, let them take their eyes away from the person and just say, see, this is our person, let us work with it. If the party, if they refuse to come to an agreement, as in fact within the next 2-3 months, they would be in deep crisis and might not be able to do anything formidable for the next election to come. So for me, if the NEC have agreed and they said Senator Anyanwu is going to be the secretary, let everybody shield their sword, forget about it, and push on, accept him as the secretary, and let the party move on. Instead of this, for example, now, just last week, the same Damagu who just spoke now was the one who announced that this NEC has been postponed. The same person also announced that Senator Anyanwu has been accepted as the party candidate. I think that was on Wednesday. Now, the evening of that same day, the National Working Committee brought out their own press release, a document, a 2-page document that was signed by practically all the executive members of the party. The National Working Committee, not less than 20 signatures were on that letter. And they said, no, we didn't come together to have this conclusion with the president, with the chairman of the party. He more or less acted on his own without our approval, without our support. So he just so now that they had that two divergent positions, coming today to say, okay, this is our position, we are agreeing on this and that. Good. If that is what everybody has agreed to do, then I think it is a win for the party, and let everybody accept it and move on. Nobody will sit there forever. People who were in office 5 years ago are not the same people there today. So what's the fight that we cannot just close our eyes and move on? So for me, it's a win for the Southeast. It's a win for the party if everybody have agreed. But like I said earlier, time will tell. Time, that is the true test of all this. If 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now, everything is still moving fine, then we can say, yes, it's a win for the party. It's
a win for the party, it is. Let's even look at this whole conversation from the side of Wike, Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, who has always stood for Senator Anyanwu for whatever reason. He believes so much in Anyanwu being the PDP secretary. At this point, I will say that this is a win for Nyesom Wike, or a total win for the PDP, who still have Nyesom Wike to contend with as it stands right now.
Well, that's me. I wouldn't say that they still have something to contend with Wike, with the FCT minister. Now, the reason I would say this is that this is the candidate of the FCT minister. This is his candidate. So more or less, you've accepted it. So for me, it's a win for him. That's one. If he's been accepted as the secretary, will now guide the party and end all the internal crisis, then it is also a win for the party. So if you look at it, for me, it's a win for both parts. It's just that we might not be comfortable with the way Wike, the statements he makes about the party. For example, that very Wednesday, when Damagun made the announcement on TV, during the commissioning of the bridge, the Katankwe Bridge here in Abuja, Wike made some statements, kind of mocking. In fact, it was a mockery. I actually watched it live on TV. He was actually mocking the party, for it was actually a mockery, saying something. If
they don't know the process, they should come and ask him to know the process. Exactly. Yeah.
So he kind of mocked them. Now, after saying all that, of course, we know that Senator Anyanwu is in his camp. There was shortly after the judgment at the Supreme Court, there was an outing that Wike did, and Senator Anyanwu was there with him, snapped with him.
Even his birthday.
Yes, he was there. So you know that this person is in the camp of
Nyesom
Wike. So now that they have come to this point, first, for me, it is a win for Wike. At the same time, it is a win for the party if everybody now will begin to channel their powers, channel all their resources into getting things right for the party. So for me, it's a win-win for them. It's just that the position of the FCT minister is still remains contentious, because if you give him the mic to speak today, I can 100% say, even if what he's doing has nothing to do with the PDP, he will still look for an opportunity to mock them. The commissioning that they had absolutely nothing to do with PDP. It was coming to announce the things that you have done. This is like the 11th day of commissioning several projects. What for the APC government? What is the link between that and the PDP? But he still slotted it in and made a mockery of them and all that. So I can assure you that he will keep making mockeries, he will keep mocking them and keep saying things that are not palatable to the party. In fact, particularly as his candidate is now the recognized secretary of the party, he would continue mocking them. He would continue. So for me,
we still have years of Wike to deal with, to contend with as it stands right now. But then let's look at this whole drama that has played out even within the People's Democratic Party right now. Of course, we've said that they've gotten a secretary right now as mandated by INEC. But when Professor Yakubu Mahmood was speaking the other day, is that the party have sent literally 3 names for them to recognize, and they should go back and fix their house. And of course, they've gone back to do this. But prior to today, or earlier today, we saw security presence all around the Federal Capital Territory and also around Wadata House. And when we begin to ask, is there a war happening? Is this not just a political conversation? But when you look at all of this and the way we've been able to conduct elections and also primaries and national working committees having meetings, and we have security presence, what do you even make of all of this security presence and what someone say is the resilience of the Nigerian police to always want to show off? But what do you make of security presence before the start of the meeting?
Okay, actually, immediately I saw the news that security officers were all over the place, and they were actually, their presence there was more to stop the meeting, because they didn't grant access to the staff. Or in fact, from what we read on the news, it's like every staff that was already inside, they moved them out, and those that were outside, they didn't allow anybody in. So I'm not too sure, but it appears this meeting did not even hold at Wadata House.
We see Wadata House there, so
yes,
yeah.
But there were a lot of issues initially at the beginning. In fact, one of the news that I read in the morning was that the meeting had been moved to Ladi Kwali Hall.
Yeah.
That was actually what was on the news early this morning, that after the policemen did not allow them access, the meeting was moved to Ladi Kwali Hall. But I think it's obvious that information was not very correct. But then, when I saw the news, I was like, what is this again? Is it Nyesom Wike using the police against his party, or are they there, just to ensure there's peace and order, or what really is the essence of having the police in that number at the Wadata House, and all that? But then at the end of the day, the meeting still progressed, and they were able to come out with results. So, for me, we are still not clear as to the intentions of the officers in the morning. Were they there just to maintain law and order, or they were there at the beck and calling of probably the president or the FCT minister to come and ensure that the meeting does not hold? Because that was the impression I had, that because this meeting was not called at the instance of Ayaun, they would want to do everything to frustrate it. So that was actually what I thought, until later on I heard the meeting actually progressed, and only to now hear that Ayaun, who has so far been the bone of contention, has been accepted. So I don't know. I just hope that the party can make good progress from here. I just hope.
Well, we also hope that the party can make good progress. But then, looking at the old drama once again that have played out in PDP, of course we say that we have Ayaun right now, but then in the course of the meeting, a lot of PDP bigwigs around the party, big names, were not even present at this NEC meeting. Do you think at this point that this decision by the national body will sit well with the likes of Atiku and Saraki and the other bigwigs within the party that is even pushing for coalition right now?
Okay, for someone like Atiku, you would know that in the last few months, he has not been so much pro-PDP. In the last few months, his attention has been more at having a coalition. You would have seen him in several meetings with the likes of Amechi, El Rufai, and all that. So I think he's pushing more towards having a coalition than trying to fix anything within the PDP. So I'm not surprised he wasn't there. and some other names. The truth is that the eventual result of that meeting, many people were already aware, and it's more like, see, I don't want to be part of this. Someone who knows that this meeting will probably end up adopting the same Senator Anyanwu as the party secretary would stay away, because it's obvious that...
So you're saying the meeting is premeditated?
It's premeditated. It's premeditated. As far as I'm concerned, it is. Because I number one, why would Danwagu just come out on his own without the National Working Committee, without the executive members? He just come out on a Wednesday and just made statements. That was on the 26th. He just made statements. No, 25th. Yeah, just made statements that had the capacity of destroying the party. A party that is already drowning. You are now tying a stone around the neck of the party to go deeper. A National Working Committee came up and they said something totally different. So now it's like what the chairman said now eventually has become law. The only difference is that the meeting still held against what he said. But then after it held, you had all the back and forth, all the push and pull, and then the next thing, you are still arriving at the same Senator Anyanwu as the secretary. So for me, it's premeditated. It's like they knew that is where it will end, so let's just accept it. If this is what will bring peace, fine, let us accept it. But I'm not going to be part of it. That's probably what played out. I really wish I would hear the voice of each of the National Working Committee members saying, yes, we approve it. For me, it looks like something that, apart from being premeditated, it looks like something that a forceful, when you are forced to accept something against your will. This kind, I don't want, but I just have to accept it. That is the way I see it. And probably they feel that is the way forward. Even though I have my personal belief that this is actually not the way forward, they would still have issues as it is.
Well, Barrister Akintayo Balogun, let's talk. Most people that have left PDP, especially the governors that have decamped from the People's Democratic Party, the excuse that they've given, take for example the last governor that left the People's Democratic Party in the person of Governor Umoeno of Akwa Ibom State. He said that one of the reasons why he's leaving the party is because the party is disorganized. And such a party that have a different faction cannot hold and sustain electoral victories without dragging into court. It can't bank on that to stay with the party. Rather, it will move to the all-ruling or Progressive Congress. Obariwori of Delta State always made a similar comment when he was moving from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. Right now, the PDP has been able to fix their house by reconciling all aggrieved party, beginning from Senator Anyanwu. At this point, do you see these governors coming back to the People's Democratic Party, or they will just stay with the All Progressive Congress? If at all, the excuse that was given is based on the fact that there was misunderstanding within the PDP.
I disagree 100% that the purpose for which the governors left was because the PDP was or is disorganized. I very much disagree. If people move from Labour Party on that ground, I would agree and say yes, the level of division is such that it can even affect the political career of a person. Let me use Lagos State, for example. Lagos State just did elections, I think, of local governments. Yes. And
primaries of
primaries.
Yeah.
Now, they had divisions. I was hearing on the news, the candidates that were produced by the Abure camp were the ones that were recognized by INEC. That automatically affects the other camp under the caretaker committee. You know that with that now, a person's political career has been affected. So if somebody is decamping from the Labour Party, I agree with you. I agree, because it is, in fact, it's constitutional. The constitution says if there is division from the top, then you are justified to leave. How much is the division in the PDP for you to say this is the reason why I'm leaving? If you look at those that have left, the two governors that have left, if you look at it, you realize that they don't have an ambition. They have an ambition for a second term, and they believe that the best place to pursue that ambition is in the APC. There are some other persons who don't have anything at stake. They didn't leave. Someone like Sheyi Makinde, who was like, there's a possibility he too is on the line. He's not going anywhere. He's still there because he's in his second term. He has nothing to lose. The same thing with someone like Governor Bala Mohammed. He has nothing to lose. This is his second term. So for me, it is more of a political move to secure a second term. That is what it is, than for you to say it's because the party is disorganized. If you look at Delta State, you will see that the issue of the campaign was more prominent with the immediate past governor than with the governor sitting. I don't know if you noticed, you realize that the noise of the immediate past governor, Okowa, moving to PDP was more than that of the governor himself. There are underlying factors which I would not want to say, but it is not because the party is so divided. It is not. This is not the first time. There are times that PDP they had issues way more than this. This one we are just saying, is it not just secretary? There was a time where they were battling issue of who should be the national chairman. They battled it from the Federal High Court to the Supreme Court. Then PDP, they were having primaries. I don't know if you remember, this was in around 2015, 2016. They were having prior primaries. This one will say, no, we are for the McCarthy fashion. The other one will say, no, we are for this...
Secondus.
No, not Secondus. This former governor of Borno State. The one, is it before or after Shetima now? The man that was PDP chairman for a while. They will say, no, we are in his camp. The other side will say, no, we are in McCarthy's camp. And that issue dragged all the way to the Supreme Court. We didn't have much people decamping like this that time. So even when PDP was in more disarray than what it is today, people were not decamping as much as it is now. Why? The reason is because everybody is looking at their future ambition. That is what it is about. Nobody should tell me it's because there's division in the party. No, it's not. It's about their future ambition.
Well, I'm not the spokesperson for the governors, but then this is what they came out to say. But then I'm asking at this point, now that PDP has put his house in order by reinstating Senator Anyanwu back as their secretary, do you see these governors coming back in the light of the conversation?
I don't see them coming back. Like I said, it's not because of the disarray in PDP that they left. So they won't come back. And I can say that it's possible that more senators or more reps or more governors might still leave. It's not because it is now fine or it was not fine with the PDP. That's just what I'm
saying. Even though the party has been able to put its house in order?
They would not come back. I'm so 100% sure that whatever it is, they are not coming back. It's not about the party. It's about the ambition. So as long as the ambition is still there, they are going nowhere.
Quite interesting so far. Now let's tie this up and try to look at the PDP and 2027. When you look at PDP where they were and where they are right now in terms of their operational mechanism, can we say that PDP has gotten it right and is set for 2027 elections?
Not at all.
Or perhaps it's too early to start talking about elections?
It's not too early.
Okay.
But as it is, not at all. The journey is still very far. If you remember when the issue of when APC was formed, you know, as at this time, then the party was already formed, things were already put in place. You know, they had already put their house in order. This is PDP still struggling to have somebody as the secretary. As it is now, we don't have any prominent person that you would hold on to and say this is the candidate that PDP will produce. This is, you know, as at President Buhari came in 2015.
Yeah.
As at 2013, in fact, everybody knew that that ticket would most likely go to Buhari. It was clear to a large extent. And the person who came second after him in the primaries, double of the votes of that person was not up to that of Buhari, because they already had a focal point. Unfortunately, that is not the situation now. As it is, Atiku is, we can't say he's still in the PDP because he's been part of the coalition.
Well, he has not come out to he has not come out to openly say that he is not.
Yes,
so,
but you would realize he's practically not saying anything in this whole PDP crisis. He's practically not seen, he's not heard.
Perhaps he's working for the People's Democratic Party in diaspora.
The only place you see him presently, is where there are issues of coalition. For example, not the last time, but one of the times he showed up in a public function was at that meeting that was held, I think in Adamawa State or so, where former Governor Peter Obi was also there. He was there, and then issue of, was he sharing money, Jigawa delegates, So that now was not a PDP gathering. Those are the kind of gatherings where you see him of late. You hardly see him anywhere around PDP. So in fact, the truth is that PDP, yes, they are trying to put their house in order. But to say there is somebody we are looking at and saying this is going to be a candidate of the party, it's not there yet.
So you can, at this point, you can say that PDP house is in order, but the house in order does not have a son. Yeah. That can be heir apparent to the throne.
For now, there is none.
So there is no chance for People's Democratic Party come 2027 to even click or grab the ticket for the presidency.
I cannot say. Nigerian politics, you cannot just predict some things because you don't know the surprise that might come up. Somebody, remember some few years ago, someone was already at the stadium rehearsing how he was going to address the press, how he was going to stand in the vehicle, wave to people. They were already doing the rehearsals, and it was there in the rehearsal he received a phone call and said sorry.
Oh, you mean the Bayelsa scenario that played out?
Yes. So the truth is that you cannot predict tomorrow. Anything can happen. PDP could probably come up with somebody, and who knows, probably PDP in the next few weeks might say, okay, we are ready to be part of the coalition. We're ready to be part of the union of other parties that want to produce a candidate. We cannot say. So it's just that the mountain that they are going to face is just too high. It's just too high. The structure that the APC and the President Tinubu has built is it's almost nearly impossible to surmount.
Well, let's leave it at that point, just as your thoughts on that line where say that mountain is too high, because a lot of people from the People's Democratic Party will say that there is no mountain too high for the People's Democratic Party to submerge. They'll be able to submerge that mountain. But we'll go for this short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more even on issues that borders on Nigeria. Please stay with us. Victor continues in a moment.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
All right, welcome back. But let's delve into the second conversation for tonight, and this borders on zoning in Nigeria. Well, this is not recognized by the Constitution, but then it has been built in such a way that it has become universally accepted in Nigeria. In most states, they'll say, let the governorship come first from the southern senatorial district, and let's take it to the western senatorial district, and let's bring it back to the northern senatorial district. We've seen this play out across board, from Cross River State to Akwa Ibom through to Abia and other parts of Nigeria. And it has now become like a settled principle in Nigeria that we must talk about zoning. Now, let's even talk about this very pertinent issue, Barrister Akintayo. Looking at the whole structures of zoning, I know it's not recognized by the Nigerian Constitution, but how did we arrive at zoning in its generality?
Okay, you see, this issue of zoning, like you said, is not recognized in the Constitution. But then the essence of zoning is to give everybody a bite. That is just what it is about. To give everybody a bite. And it's not just in, it's practically everywhere. For example now, let me use our NBA for example. It goes round and it's just fixed, such that presently our present national president is from the southeast. Now, the next set of persons that we contest are from the southwest, or middle, or southwest and southwest. Now, the next set of persons after that will be from the north. You won't see anybody from the north contesting in the next election. It's a kind of, this is how it should be.
Regimental system.
Yes, that and you know, it has helped such that there's this inclusiveness. There's this, everybody gets a share. That's the essence of this zoning thing. That's the essence of this formula. Let it go round. Let everybody have a share of it. Let everybody have a bite. That's why today somebody is chosen as governor from this side of the state, and then unfortunately, you know, many times we don't follow it because of course it's not constitutional. There's no binding rule. But then it has become part of the system. Let me give an example. In 1983, you know, when the military took over power, Northerners were in office from 1983 to 1999. It was General Buhari to President Babangida to General Sani Abacha, and then to General...
I thought there was a breakup by Shoneko.
Okay, well, Shoneko, yes. Well, that was just 3 months. And then to Abacha, General Abacha, and then to Abdul Salam. Now, you will see that when we were to return to democracy, and the issue of who should be the candidate or who are the parties going to produce, PDP, then it was Obasanjo and is it Kwame now or one of them now? Somebody from the southeast, I think it's Kwame, contested. It was like somebody also from the north contested, but he had very little votes. And then the other candidates now for AD and APP was Olufalaye. So now it was like the entire election, Nigeria general election, was just between two Yoruba men. So it's like somehow we just had that understanding that this thing should move from the north to the south. And that was why that election was conducted or contested strictly by Southerners. Now, he did his 7 years. The next election that will now come in now, Obasanjo just see, the next candidate has to be a Northerner. And that's how a Northerner came in. That was how Yaradua came in. Now, it's not that it's contained in the Constitution, but it's just to reflect, let there be a reflection, a representation of every part of the country in government. That is just what this whole zoning is about. It is not provided for by the Constitution. It is just an act to make everyone feel wanted, feel to be part of the national cake.
All right, be part of the national cake it is. But then when we look at the old zoning principle across Nigeria and nascent democracy for the last 26 years, can we say we've been better with zoning? Bearing in mind that people from the southeastern part of Nigeria have said that they were marginalized the whole democratic process. When in your own assessment, has zoning really helped Nigerians to be better off politically?
Well, the truth is that the zoning has never, let me not use never, but has not been balanced. Yes, it has not been balanced. For example, Ewerem was the vice president of Shagari. That was the last time an Igbo man or someone from the southeast came that close to power or to being president. Ever since then, let's even let's make use of this of the democratic dispensation. We have not had somebody from the southeast who sits or who is sitting as the vice president. It has not happened. The closest we've had is somebody from the south who eventually became president. You understand? So that there's just that imbalance is not there. It's just not. Is not. As much as we talk so much about the zoning, it has never been balanced. The southeast have been totally left out. You know, for example, we always say, or one of the things we say in my circle was that, see, 2023 election was one of the best opportunities for someone from the southeast to take over as the president. Now, we are talking about zoning. Somebody from the north was president for 8 years. You would have expected that every other person from the north would step aside. But no, we had former Vice President Atiku contesting. So, as much as we want to say, yes, let zoning work, the ambition of some persons cannot accommodate zoning. That's one of our biggest problems. The ambition, let me not use the word selfish, but the ambition of some persons cannot accept this zoning. When Obasanjo did his first 4 years, remember this General Buhari contested against him.
Yeah.
After 4 years, so it was like after 4 years, you still wanted to go back to the north, and he was in the contest until 2015 when he finally came into power. So it's as much as we say yes, zoning is good, somehow their individual ambitions of persons have not allowed zoning to work.
Well, we have a lot of people that will say that they've been deprived of even occupying leadership positions, not at the federal level, but through to the states and various local governments. We've seen states like Kogi State, we've seen states like Edo State, and a few other states that will say, hey, some particular tribes and region or senatorial district have not been allowed to express themselves in terms of leadership capacity. Well, look at all of this. I'm curious at this point to ask, should we be talking about legalizing zoning, or we should rather domesticate zoning in order for every Nigerian to understand what zoning should be? And also, perhaps this can be an electoral culture for us, or don't you think so?
Well, the truth is that make zoning, to make it probably part of the law, will be difficult. Because, you know, if we just say, okay, somebody from the southwest should become president, and then the next should be, now what if the person in office dies? For example, what happened in 2010? Now, Obasanjo had, okay, let it go back to the north. And then Yaradua came in. Good. Yaradua was in office from 2007 to 2010. And then he died in office. And then somebody from the south now came into office. Now, would you say because that time has been zoned to the north, Goodluck Jonathan should not contest the 2011 election? You know, that was the issue they had then. They said, the north said, no, give us our complete 4 years. Let us finish our 4 years before it goes back to the south. You know, and that's, so this kind of issue, where somebody does not finish his tenure, he dies in office, or probably is impeached, and all that, it will raise issues. Let me also give an example. In the, when the NBA now, the Abuja chapter, we had a challenge some 4 years ago, thereabouts, where the person in office, the chairman of the Abuja branch died in office. You know, and then it was like the vice should take over as the president, as the chairman, you know, and all that. But then it was agreed that no, that is not how it's supposed to be. Somebody from her region must complete that time in her remaining months in office. They said no, but ordinarily the vice should take over. At the end of the day, they had to bring in someone from outside who finished her tenure in office before the president, before the chairmanship now moved to the next region. Now, if we decide to do something like that, it may become cumbersome. For example, now, instead of good luck to take over in 2010, you now said, no, let us still bring in somebody who is from the... How do you even bring in somebody who is from the north? Ordinarily, constitutionally, it is the vice president that should take over. And once the vice president takes over, it's like another person from another side of the country has taken over.
Yeah.
You understand? So then we will now begin to have some complexity, we'll begin to have some confusions. Okay, no, we have not finished our time. No, we have not finished our zoning, the period that has been zoned to us. We'll now begin to have that issue. So instead of us to get to the point where we'll be divided on that line, let's just, for me, let's just leave it as it is. Let it just be a silent guide, a silent issue, a silent listener to the conversation. Let it just be there. Okay, it is time to zone to so place. Let's zone. Probably the person in office might not finish his time in office. Let it just be a silent issue, as silent as it is now. The only thing I would just want to advise is that let politicians drop their personal ambition when you know that it is necessary that it should be zoned to another place. When somebody has been in government, let's say somebody from the south has been in government, another person from the south should not come and contest after that. If somebody from the north has been in government for 8 years, another person from the north should not go and contest. For me, that is just how we can get it right with this issue of zoning. But if somebody finishes and then you are not allowing another person, for example, now we're talking about the southeast that has not even served as vice president in the last since 1983. We've not had somebody that's 42 years ago. 42 years now. In the last 42 years, we have not had anybody like that. It's how old is our democracy? How old is our Nigeria since independence? That for 43 years, somebody from a region has not been in the office as a vice president. It doesn't sound well both to our democracy and also to this rule of zoning. So people should drop their personal ambition. Once, I'm sorry to say, someone like Vice President Atiku, it looked absurd then that somebody from the north is finishing 8 years, and then you also from that same north wants to take over. It looked somehow at that point, even though at the end of the day he still came second in the election, but then it just looked, there was just that imbalance there.
Well, I asked that particular question in order to ask, or let me just even bring a perspective to that particular question, looking at the fact that in our university system, zoning has also surreptitiously find its way into NANS, which stands for the National Association of Nigerian Students. The student union government is also experiencing some form of zoning. So I'm curious at this point, shouldn't we start having the conversation around legalizing zoning systems across the country? You suggested that we should allow the tone to remain beneath the song or beneath the beat. But then looking at all of this zoning that have come into play over the years, and people have been deprived from even contesting in elections, from participating in electioneering processes in general. Shouldn't we start having conversations around this, legalizing this whole thought, so that we can have a document that is binding on all?
Well, for me, yes, it's not out of place, but like I said earlier, it might cause that confusion. Now, for example, in an organization like the Nigerian Bar Association now, it's working perfectly. It's just so perfect. Some persons are already pushing gradually now. You will know where this person is coming from. You know this thing is moving to the southwest. So you don't see people from the north or from the same southeast now contesting or even doing anything on the ground. Everybody who is working on the ground now is from the southwest. That for me is what it's supposed to be. If we come to that understanding and we agree that this is how we want to do it, I can assure you that it will work well. But then it will be dangerous to now make it part of the law. Because number one, I can tell you that people will go to court to challenge it. They will go to court. Then you begin to hear people citing the Constitution and say you are depriving them of their constitutional right to contest for an election. It is then you begin to hear this is against the tenets of the Constitution. everybody has a right to contest. You would hear a lot. So if I can tell you for free, if somebody comes up, or even if the National Assembly comes up with this issue of zoning and makes it a law, someone else will go to court and say it contradicts the provision of or it contradicts section 36 of the Constitution that gives everybody the right to vote and be voted for. Everybody gives the right to contest. You would hear a lot. You begin to, in fact, they will cite several provisions. The Constitution says for someone to contest for president, he must have minimum qualification of this. That is all the Constitution says. The Constitution does not say a person must come from a side. You would hear a lot. So for me, to save us that crisis, that constitutional crisis,
the impending constitutional crisis,
to save us that serious constitutional crisis where the Constitution will be hitting against itself, it's best to just leave that issue as it is. It's best.
Well, interesting. Just before I let you go, Barrister, the issue around zoning, you've said that we should allow it to just remain the way it is and maintain the status quo. But when we look at zoning in its generality in Nigeria, has it become our bane so far in our democratic growth?
Well, one of the things we try to do is to maintain the zoning, but at the same time, we are trying to do it, yet it's still not working. Fine, somebody from the north finished his 8 years, another person from the south now is the president. Now, it is most likely, let's say he finishes this 4 years, does another 4 years, it is most likely that it will go back to the north. When it goes back to the north, the southeast will now begin to say, we are being marginalized, this is an opportunity for us, it is not given to us, and all that. So, it's as much as we want it in our system, it's like we are using one hand to give, we are using the other hand to take back. We are using one hand to say, yes, we want zoning. At the same time, we are not really working towards it. If not, you would say, let it work. For example, now, let me use 2006, 2007, for example, when there were a lot of persons showing interest. One of the persons that showed very strong interest was former Governor Peter Odili, who wanted to be president then. As at then, he had gone through almost the entire 36 states of Nigeria, campaigning, he wanted to be president. Then, the adverts and the jingles playing everywhere was that somebody from the northeast, northwest, north central, southwest, even southeast, they've all occupied positions, but nobody from the south. That they really played that jingles then such that we're 100% sure that this thing is going to the south. But unfortunately, by the time President Obasanjo would put 1 and 2 together, they said no, let it still go back to the north. But then let's bring in somebody from the south to be the vice president. And it worked. And it actually worked for the south because through that, they also got somebody who became the president of Nigeria. So for me, as much as we would want to do it, we are trying to push it with one hand, but we're also pulling it back with the other hand. Everybody must, if zoning will work in Nigeria, everybody must subject their political ambition to zoning. We must subject it. We cannot just keep shouting zoning, and then everybody saying now it is the turn of the southeast. But then you will now see people coming from the north, people coming from everywhere and saying it is our right to vote. It's a problem, but for me, like I said, let it just remain as silent as it is.
You're already seeing the future. Yes. You're seeing the problem coming.
Yes.
So we should leave it the way it is.
Nantes now. Look at the issue. Look at the problem that we're having now with Nantes. Before you know what, now suddenly we're starting having parallel government
even in Nantes
is holding. Yes, I am the chairman. No, I'm the president. And then another one came up. All that it's because of this same issue of zoning. So let's not make it a constitutional issue. Let it just be an issue, a kind of gentleman agreement. Okay, it is time for it to go to the southeast, and everybody complies.
Well, I want to say thank you so much, Barrister Balogun, for finding out time to be with us here on Big Talk. Well,
thank you very much.
Well, this is how far we can go even on Big Talk today. Do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen using at Global TV NG, and you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Enjoy the rest of your evening.